Born to an Orthodox Muslim family on the 20th May 1953, the Malaysian dancer and choreographer Ramli Ibrahim is the youngest of 6 siblings. Right from his childhood, Ramli was the only one in the family who took to the arts. Later, in spite of being sent as a teenager to the prestigious Royal Military College in Malaysia and then getting his degree in mechanical engineering in Australia, Ramli eventually followed his bliss and became a full-time dancer. Though he started with Malay traditional dances, Ramli eventually enrolled himself in serious modern dance and ballet classes when he was in Australia, when he realized that he needed to develop his technique and knowledge of dance in a more methodological manner. Ramli was also a voracious reader, interested in allied arts subjects such as architecture, anthropology, religion, and philosophy. Subsequent to getting his engineering degree, Ramli was given a scholarship to the Australian Ballet School, the most prestigious dance school in Australia. Upon graduating from the Australian Ballet School, he was invited to join the Sydney Dance Company, Australia's famous and exciting neoclassical and contemporary dance company. Simultaneously too, he studied and deepened his knowledge of Bharatanatyam under Padma Shri Adiyar K. Lakshman, who visited Australia. Later, he went on to develop his expertise on another Indian classical dance style, Odissi, with the pioneer Odissi guru, the late Debaprasad Das. Ramli returned to Malaysia in 1983 and made his debut and impact on Malaysia in his first 2.5-hour solo performance, featuring both Bharatanatyam and Odissi. The effect on the Malaysian audience was electric, and Ramli has never looked back since. Ramli Ibrahim formed the Sutra Dance Theatre in the same year. Soon, he started concentrating also on teaching dance, specifically Bharatanatyam and Odissi, consolidating and integrating teaching methods and dance techniques which had fed his own body and spirit. He felt that the body, not just the face, must be the most efficient and expressive instrument of the dancer. Sutra Dance Theatre, the dance company that Ramli founded, soon evolved as Malaysia's international and most creative dance company. Through excellence, especially in the field of Indian classical dance, Sutra Dance Theatre has made a global impact and has redefined what is multiculturalism and cross-culturalism in traditional and contemporary dance. Over the years, Sutra was engaged in national and international tours, presenting its multiracial dances of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and of mixed racial origins. With the success it has achieved, it has established a name synonymous with excellence, creativity, and dynamism, and simultaneously projected a positive image of multiracial Malaysia, which was on the throes of Islamic fundamentalism. Ramli also commissioned, conceived, and choreographed works in both the traditional, contemporary, and the avant-garde. Only in 2007 was Ramli able to consolidate his legacy in the form of Sutra Foundation. Based in Kuala Lumpur, in the sylvan surroundings of the Sutra House, Ramli and his team are able to centralize Sutra's activities in 3 related areas, which are performance, teaching, and also the visual arts. When asked about framing cultural connections between India and Malaysia, Ramli says,
"There has always been a continuous mingling of cultures between India and Malaysia since time immemorial. The Malay Peninsula, in the flux of strong cultural currents on the crossroads of 2 major world cultures of India and China, therefore was inevitably influenced. The prevailing monsoon winds brought enterprising conquerors, merchants, priests, and with them a retinue of races, practices, and ideas. In return, the indigenous cultures were fertilized and enriched. In dance, music, theatre, and literature, the question of purity is almost irrelevant. Since those hoary times, the fertilization of ideas and their transformation into new indigenous forms have been seamless and organic. However, it is with the Indian subcontinent that Malaysian culture finds its major inspiration. So pervasive have these influences been integrated into the Malaysian life that it is now impossible to separate its ingredients. What is indigenous and what is imported have found each other in one melting cauldron. By the time the Hindu prince Parameshwara discovered Malacca in 1402 AD, the archipelago was ready to accept another major change, Islam. Even this came mainly via India. Thus, over centuries of being in close proximity with India, contemporary Malaysia finds its belief, language, literature, food, medicine, ceremonies, and just about everything else related to culture inextricably connected with the Indian continent. This can be disconcerting for some, but fascinating for others. Even the concept of expressing feeling and flavor related to emotions or food is derived from the Sanskrit word rasa. The rasa theory pertaining to dance, music and drama applies to all of Southeast Asian traditional arts. The Malays, like their counterpart in Java or Bali, have also the genius of transforming whatever they assimilated into something totally their own. What was consumed, digested and incarnated are again different and characteristically theirs. Contemporary Malaysia is pluralistic society comprising of Malays, Chinese, Indians and a host of other indigenous, ethnic and mixed races, very much a continuation of the previous scenario. Only the present generation, born and brought up in Malaysia, consider themselves to be Malaysians. It is not unusual to find mosques, churches, Buddhist and Hindu temples within stone's throw of one another. Bharatanatyam, popular with a South Indian presence in Malaysia, finds easy acceptance in contemporary Malaysian culture alongside Bollywood, yoga, dosa and Ayurvedic massages. The presence of Sutra dance theatre in the last 27 years in Malaysia is a good example of Malaysia multiculturalism at its best. Comprising of Indian, Malay, Chinese and mixed races, Sutra dances are recognized in both Malaysia and India with their excellent performances of Odissi. Sutra is an ambassador of Malaysian culture when in India and represents Indian culture in Malaysia, as His Excellency Mr. Vijay Gokhale, the High Commissioner of India, once mentioned in his speech. Sutra's presence at once mocks the One Malaysia slogan, as they have been at it for a long time, and at the same time celebrates it in a burst of flourishing dance gestures.
In the present global situation, where borders are erased, what happens when the broad-based cultural diversity is taken to its ultimate limit? What happens when globalization allows culture to flow freely and when national barriers are simply what they are, man-made and artificial? These and many other questions hang enigmatically with Sutra Dance Theatre's strong Odissi presence in Malaysia.